here and there, but most of the rain is in the northwestern corner of the South Island, so Bulla, northwest Nelson, bits of the Richmond Ranges and the Marlborough Sounds. Some of these areas could be seeing 100 to 150 millimetres. Parts of the mountains there could be seeing up to 200 millimetres, and the opposite effect this is going to have on rivers downstream from there as well. Places such as Wellington, the rain is coming, but it's not going to be as heavy. Similarly, as we head further south down the east coast of the South Island, the amounts get much less down there as well.
Okay, are they expected to get the wind as well along the east coast of the south?
Yeah, so areas that are exposed to the north, so as you're taking the State Highway 1 to the south, you go through that bit of a valley there, bit of a saddle point, the wind will be coming through there. Once you drop down to the other side, you're a lot more in the shelter of those mountains, but places where the wind can get through the gaps of the hills, there are still going to be some strong gusts out there.
Okay, so the message is watch out for the wind in Wellington in particular, the heavy rain in terms of areas affected by the earthquake this morning. That's really looking at places like Nelson, right? That will be getting some pretty substantial downpours, and then the east coast looking exposed at the moment as well. And you say just starting to hit the west coast, so they'll be beginning to experience that, what, between now and this evening?
No, so there was the heavy rain that's starting on the west coast is going to last through to the early hours of tomorrow morning. There's quite a lot of thunderstorms in that rain there. We can see them all offshore at the moment. They're going to stick around through most of the night, so it is going to be quite a long spell of rain for the west coast. Another point to note as well is with the high tides, with the full moon, we're looking at strong northerly winds, lots of rain, and this is all a recipe for some flooding from the coastal inundation in areas such as Nelson and parts of the west coast and the north there, just where the added height of the sea level with the wind waves could be coming in some places quite shoreline there.
Okay, so we're looking at post-earthquake aftershocks continuing, huge gusts of wind, massive downpours of rain, and an extraordinarily high tide created by the supermoon.
But you'd have to travel quite extensively to have all of those happen to you.
Okay, that's some relief. Thanks very much, Met Service meteorologist Tom Adams. Thanks for your time today.
Not a problem.
Past 2, just repeating by the way, and I'm obliged to let you know this every 15 minutes, that the tsunami warning is still in place from Wellington to Banks Peninsula. That was issued by the Ministry of Civil Defence and Emergency Management. The threat for all the other regions has been lifted, but that tsunami warning remains in place from Wellington to Banks Peninsula. So the Ministry's advice remains to stay out of the water. That includes sea rivers and estuaries and boating activities, and to stay off beaches and shore areas. And I'll update you again on that in 15 minutes. Residents in North Canterbury, South Marlborough and Wellington have also been without power following last night's quake. Greg Skelton is the Chief Executive of Wellington Electricity Lines. Hi there, Greg.
Hi, Jesse, how are you?
Good, thank you. Were you affected by the quake last night, by the way, you personally?
Yeah, had a family that sort of decided to get together at midnight and discuss what was going on, so yes.
And in terms of electricity, what's the impact been between now and then?
Yeah, we had a reasonable level of impact around the network with about 25,000 homes losing supply, largely in the Hutt Valley area, which extensively is a river valley which has a fault line running through it, so just the magnitude of the shaking that actually damaged mostly overhead network assets, broken wires or clashing conductors which got supply. And thankfully, with the efforts made since midnight, and sort of 14 hours later, we're just down to the last 1,000 customers trying to get back on in the next 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, Greg, can I just check that you're talking right into the mouthpiece there? You're sounding a little bit muffled at the moment. I want to make sure that people who are relying on your information can hear you as well as possible. So from 25,000 homes originally affected down to 1,000 now, where are they and what's the timeline for them?
So these homes are still in that valley, around the Nainai, Woodaloo, Hayward areas, and essentially we're looking at getting those cleaned up coming into 3 o'clock, and there's some we are looking at hopefully getting completed by 5. We're sort of safely but steadily trying to beat the weather front that's coming through.
Okay, do you have advice for people, aside from people who are missing power at the moment, but given there are fallen trees around and other sort of areas of structural damage, do you have general advice for people in the Wellington area?
Yeah, the general public safety message around these sorts of events is just for the public to treat all lines as alive and keep clear of those. And if they see something that's dangerous or something that looks odd, just to call our phone line, which is 0800 248 148, and that'll be reported and logged in that system, and the crews will get out and keep it out as soon as possible.
Just had a happy text to get in touch from Fairfield and Lower Hutt Greg to report that the power is back on, so obviously things are heading in the right direction.
Great news.
Yeah, thanks Greg Skelton, Chief Executive of Wellington Electricity Lines. Nice to talk to you today. We've had all sorts of texts and emails actually. You can get in touch on 2101, that's the text number, or you can email jesse@radionz.co.nz. I'd love to hear from you and hear your experience. We've got one from Tom in Nelson who had something interesting to share. Hi there, Tom.
Hi, Jesse.
How was your experience of the quake last night, Tom?
I was pretty good. We live in an old wooden house, so fairly confident that it's just going to rock and roll, but hopefully that's all. So we just lay there and enjoyed it as much as we could, but we've got family around New Zealand, and so we were quite worried. We've got a sister-in-law on the waterfront in Wellington, Breaker Bay. I've got a daughter in Christchurch visiting someone at Sumner, so yeah. We've been on the phone pretty much all night, really.
And is everyone accounted for, and you're satisfied everyone is safe?
Yeah, there's just been a 6.3, but it was quite deep, so I think I'm sort of hoping things will be alright. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you had a surprise in your house last night.
Yes, it was quite strange. I think I was talking to my daughter on the phone about 6 in the morning, and I hung the phone up. I was sitting in the front room, and I could hear this ticking noise, and I'm thinking, where's that coming from? And I looked up on the mantelpiece, and we've got an old antique clock. It's not a big grandfather clock, but it's a good size, and it was ticking away, and I think, my goodness, because we'd overwound it about 10 years ago, and it stopped working, and we tried everything. We just could not get it to work again, so we gave up on it, and we set the hands to 12 o'clock because it looked sort of symmetrical, and we thought, oh, we'll just leave it sitting at 12 o'clock. And I looked at it this morning, and it would have been 5:27 in the morning. 5:57. So because we'd set it at 12 o'clock, and the earthquake hit Nelson about 3 minutes past 12, it had started again about 3 minutes past 12. So it would have been 3 minutes slow. So it's 3 minutes slow now, and I think I'll leave it at 3 minutes slow.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it was really weird.
So when it originally broke down 10 years ago, you'd tried pretty much everything, including, I'm presuming, giving it a bit of a bang.
Oh yeah, we shook it and we tried to swing the arm inside it, and we tried everything. So we just gave up, and but this earthquake did the job.
Wow.
Yeah,
and now you've got a grandfather clock back, a working grandfather clock.
Yes, yeah, we're quite pleased. And I think I'll leave it reading 3 minutes slow, just to remind us that's why it's working.
Good on you, Tom. Thanks for sharing the story. Nice to chat to you, and stay safe in Nelson today.
Yeah, you guys are all doing a great job there.
Oh, thanks. Nice to have you on today as well. 2:23. So as I said, we will keep you updated with what's going on around New Zealand with the earthquake, as we have done all day long. And there's a special checkpoint from 4 p.m. today. And I'll talk about some other stuff now, but the earthquake will keep coming up, I'm sure. And we do have further interviews scheduled throughout the afternoon, so stick with us. Time now to meet Raf Manji. And we hear a lot about this country's poverty problems. It's estimated that there are more than 600,000 people in poverty in New Zealand, which is 1 in 7 households. The gap between rich and poor is widening, both here and in most other Western nations, and so if we agree that this is a problem, the question is, what can we do about it? Raf Manji is a Christchurch City Councillor who, like many economists, believes that a universal basic income is the answer. Before you say, hey, there's no place for socialism in modern New Zealand, plenty of might be the secret to economic success as well. Raf is in our Christchurch. How it all could work. Hi there, Raf.
Yeah, hi Jesse, how's it going?
Good, nice to have you in. We better chat earthquake first. How has your day been affected by what happened at 12:03 last night?
It's not too bad actually. I mean, we don't have a lot of damage in Christchurch. I think it's just getting used to an earthquake sequence, which is very different to what we've experienced over the last 6 years. So these very, very long rolling aftershocks, a little bit like being on a ship, which have gone on for some time. So we haven't had much damage down here. Some of that is because of the nature of the quake and where it was centered, and some of that is due to the fact that, you know, a lot of our new buildings have got the latest technology in them, so they're built to withstand it. But yeah, I think it was just a shock how long it lasted last night.
And plenty of experience in your city for how to deal with the direct aftermath. I imagine you'll be calling on some of that expertise, or people further up the line will be.
Yeah, probably, and I think definitely the issue here more is the isolated nature of where the epicenter was, and I think that's causing some problems, especially with State Highway 1 and people being cut off. So yeah, that's going to be an issue.
So the news from Christchurch is no immediate or huge damage, but you're there if they need you, and you're keeping an eye on things, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think Wellington's probably been hit a little bit worse because the energy of the quake seemed to go north. So that's probably more of an issue. But you know, however we can be of help locally or somewhere else, we'll be there.
So you and I met in Christchurch a couple of weeks ago, and I heard you talk and said to you afterwards, you've got to come on and tell other people about this, because this is some it's an amazing theory. It sounds really good in practice, and I'd love to come test you on it. So Raf, you're a City Councillor of Christchurch. How did you end up doing that, and what is your background?
Okay, my background, I worked in London in the 90s for investment banks, trading global markets, primarily currencies. Similar background to the Prime Minister. We used to work in the same bank. And then around 2000,